Welcome back to Amplified Houston. That was such a great conversation on exercise and healthy habits. Thank you so much to the YMCA and Lindsay. So now let's talk about food and nutrition as we welcome two special guests from the Houston Food Bank. First, we have Shynice Allen, who is a nutrition educator and a registered dietitian nutritionist. And then we also have Sarah Crulcich, who is the Food Bank social media coordinator and also a registered dietitian nutritionist. So for our first question, let's start with Sarah. These days, there are so many diet trends and nutrition advice that's readily available on social media and the internet. Sarah, what are the risks of following these diets without consulting a professional first?
Yes, and thank you so much for having me this morning. And so that is a great question as we're approaching the new year, because oftentimes diet trends are based on mistranslated science and they make promises that just sound too good to be true. And so the risk can be that you unintentionally create disordered eating patterns. You might have increased food cravings that create unnecessary feelings of guilt or shame, because we should never feel guilt or shame when it comes to food. It may cause financial strains because oftentimes these lofty promises come with expensive products. And then also even nutrition deficiencies and nutrition toxicities. So it's really important to find credible sources of information and to seek credentialed professionals. And for nutrition, that's a registered dietitian and registered dietitian nutritionist. And so in my work in social media, I think about how anyone could put any information they want on the internet, regardless of what their background is. And so it's really important to keep in mind again, do they have credentials? And that everybody's body has different needs. And so while you may see someone who has transformed their life and sharing their story on social media, you may not know the whole picture, and your body may have very different needs from that person as well.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. That is such a good point. Not all diets fit all. And it's really important to make sure that people do have credentials because you're right. Anybody can share anything. Shanice, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Think Sarah did a wonderful job hitting on all the points. There are many risks that I don't think people really consider when it comes to starting any diet of any kind, really. And then you have your diet trends. I know the new year is coming up, so a lot of people are wanting to start resolutions, but misinformation is like it's inevitable. It's hard to kind of, get away from. So you always want to try and stick with your credible sources, speak with your credentialed professionals that you do have, such as a dietitian. And I think those roles are heavily important in our society because, like she said, there's so much skewness now when it comes to diet trends where it can lead to nutritional deficiencies. It can lead to you spending more than you intended to for a program and it doesn't work for you or something. It just depends. There's no one size fits all with this at all. But you always want to encourage sustainability and healthy habits with these diet trends. And I think that's what people kind of lose sight of. And so it's always good to have fundamentals. It's always good to stick with basics for sure, but build off of that. What works for you obviously might not work for someone else. But at the same time, you want to make sure that if you are following any of these diet trends, that it's not causing any further complications. If you do have any or conditions, disorders, things of that nature, and just kind of sticking what's safe and what's best for you for sure.
Thank you so much, Shanice. One thing that both you and Sarah touched on was really the financial aspect of it, not spending more than you have to, not costing yourself financial strain. So, Sarah, can you share some tips for eating healthily on a tight budget? What are some affordable but nutritious food choices out there?
Absolutely. I want to start off by saying that if you need help, I would encourage anyone who's listening, if you need help, to reach out to your local food pantry or apply for SNAP benefits. SNAP is our nation's first line of defense against food insecurity. It is there as a resource to people who need help. And in addition, you may be eligible for other local programs like Double Up bucks that you find at farmers markets. Once you are looking for particular food items, so canned foods are a great resource or a great food item on a budget. And a lot of people are concerned about the sodium when it comes to that. And so that's something that you can rinse off and get some of that excess sodium off. Frozen items are also great because those are produce items that are picked at their peak quality and then blanched. So they're basically flash boiled and cooled down and frozen.
That is such great advice. There's always this stigma about canned items or frozen items that are, they say that they're not necessarily the best, but that's something new that I learned today. You can rinse off the sodium and that frozen items are picked at their peak. So we're talking about vegetables that are picked at their peak. Shynice, what are seasonal foods out there that are available?
Yeah, for sure. So, in terms of seasonal, I know it's kind of getting a bit colder now because of the winter months, and then obviously we're gonna transition into some of our warmer foods and trying to bundle up. So I definitely think, in terms of seasonal, like your chilies, your broths, some of the pastas. I know people love to bring out their crock pots and cast iron skillets to make certain dishes, and definitely use those for sure. In terms of fresh produce like fruits and vegetables, there are winter squashes, sweet potatoes, there's pineapple. A lot of your citrus fruits are very much so in season right now. We have some apples, some lemons, grapefruit, those things. I would definitely try and throw anything that you can together and be creative as much as possible with creating any of these dishes for sure. But to each his own for sure. Make it as colorful and as nutrient dense as possible with any of these dishes.
I love it. I love the mention of colorful because when food is colorful, filled with fruits and vegetables, it makes it so much more enticing to eat. I myself personally love a good stir fry, just throwing vegetables together. Sarah or Shynice, what other dishes are there that you can just throw in fruits and veggies and things that are seasonal? I know we've talked about the crock pot, so any recipes that might be good on a crock pot, perhaps?
I have some examples. I don't know if they're crock pot per se, but I would say just add those to things that you already have because you know you already enjoy them. So if you like to have tacos, add more vegetables to those tacos. There aren't any rules, right? There's not a wrong and right way to do this. If you like to have omelets, add your vegetables to that. If you enjoy oatmeal for breakfast, add your fruit to that. And so again, just playing around with different methods, even pizza or adding different vegetables to your sandwich that you might not have otherwise, just playing around with different ideas.
I love how you said add, because sometimes when people think diet or eating more healthy, they think they're restricting themselves or taking away, but it's not really about that. It's finding what you can add. Shynice or Sarah, what other small changes can you suggest people can make for eating healthier in the new year?
Yeah, for sure. Small changes, obviously, small changes lead to great results. We love that, big results. And so you always want to make sure that you're starting small, because 9 times out of 10, you're more likely to continue it when it's small. And so we always encourage that. In terms of small changes, I know um, a lot of the times people kind of go cold turkey whenever they're making changes. And so it's always best to try and add, like you mentioned, Pearl. I think many people don't realize that sometimes we probably don't get as much nutrients as we think we do. And so, and not even just nutrients, but like physical activity, all of those things. So it's always good to be positive about the situation and say, hey, what can I add to me, or what can I add to my lifestyle that will help to improve, my patterns and the way I eat or the way I move and things. And so you can always, add more fiber to your diet, because not many people get a lot of fiber in their diet. Drinking more water, and it's always something small. Maybe I need to add a vegetable to every meal or snack that I eat. Making sure that you include protein in every meal or snack that you do eat, in order to help with making sure you stay full throughout the day, or even just making sure that we maintain good blood sugars. It's always those little things that you want to keep in mind, even if it's like being in a calorie deficit. I know that's automatically we kind of think, okay, we have to be in a deficit equals less calories. But how can I stretch those calories throughout my day, instead of doing it where it's only have to eat a certain amount of meals or snacks? Maybe I can stretch it out to elongate that, and to have it where I'm having multiple meals and snacks throughout the day to maintain metabolism, etc. So it's kind of just being positive about it for sure.
Thank you so much for that, Shynice. Sarah, was there anything that you wanted to add?
I would just reinforce it is all about those small changes. And even Lindsay was saying that earlier on the segment, but also understanding the why behind those changes. And is it a behavior that is in your control? Because one, popular reason people want to eat healthier this time of year is to lose weight. But if you think about it, weight isn't a behavior that can be controlled. And so thinking about to the extent that we can control things such as sleep, physical activity, and what we're adding to our plate.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much, Shynice. It was great to have you today. And I believe that is all the time we have. So, listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to Amplified Houston, a collaborative production. If you enjoyed our discussion today, please tune in next Thursday from 9 to 9:30.
We're your hosts, Bianca Ramos.
And Pearl Cajoles.
Talk to you next time.